You done now?
One of my favorite shows on all of television right now, no exaggeration, is on Disney Plus. It's called Big Shot, starring John Stamos and a wonderfully talented cast around him. This show, when it came out in season 1, automatically skyrocketed to the top of something that I wanted to watch every single week. And now on Disney Plus, they are back with season 2, and we're privileged enough to talk to some of the cast. So without further ado, why don't we get to my interview with Sophia, Cricket, and Tisha right now on The Collection.
Ladies, how are we doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing well.
You're doing well.
All right, look at that. Hey, can I say something? I said this to a few other your castmates, and this is not an exaggeration. It's the God's honest truth. The Big Shot or Big Shot is my favorite show on television. Like 100% favorite show on television. I don't know why y'all seem surprised by that. It's a great show.
That's quite the statement, Brad. We appreciate it. We're flattered.
It's a phenomenal show for so many reasons. But let's just jump into it. Let's just jump into season 2, okay? Let me ask you, Cricket, when you got the call, hey, we're doing Big Shot season 2. Let's go back. Let's do the basketball boot camp. Let's do it all over again. What was your initial reaction?
I went and bought an ice cream cake to celebrate. I was really just excited, and I was like, here we go again. And just knowing that we were going to, get to bond all over again and, have some different girls in the basketball practice with us. Sophia jumped in there, Sarah jumped in there, and just like getting to be even more of a team and more of us. Shock was really the main factor, which it shouldn't have been, but I was like, what? So anyway, excitement.
Do you echo that? And knowing that you're going to get to, hit the court this time?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was really exciting, and also exciting to get to have a little bit of a different style of filming, just because we weren't in the middle of the beginning of COVID, which is what happened when we filmed season 1. So to get to come back and to get to not shut down and, go all the way through it was really satisfying to get to see everybody again. And of course we miss each other. We film and then we go off to our own respective lives, but it was really, really wonderful to get to come back and do it all again.
And Tisha, for you, I mean, the first season was met with such great reviews. Like everybody who watched it loved it. And your character this time had a really incredible arc. Really, in the first season, going into the second season, a lot of changes for your character. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Mouse really came into her own, especially the second season, and with the help of Harper and the whole relationship, it just really blossomed into this powerful woman that she's really becoming.
Yeah. I mean, just what your character had to go through in the first season and then into the second, you definitely see an evolution of it. But I also saw evolution in you, Cricket. And I'm be honest with you. I was the first season around, you were very beaming positivity, right? We're always on point. We're always happy. We're the life of the party. And then in this second season, I mean, there's an early episode where you get a little, you get a little mean to an ex-boyfriend, if you know what I'm saying, to get back at somebody. You pulled quite the prank. Did you tap into something in real life? Because I felt like you played that scene a little too real. Like I felt like you were there before.
I have my beef. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that, I did like that I agree. We got a little bit mean. I got a little bit mean, but I think that, it was for the greater good of Emma and just the situation. I definitely was coming from a personal place as well. And she admits that. She's not trying to act like it's not. But yeah, I also think Samantha's funny because she went along with that a little too enthusiastically, but she also doesn't have the guts to like come up with the idea. Because Ava came up with it, she was like, heck yeah. But she probably would have done that on her own. She's a little timid.
Yeah. She was forced into it. We were forced into a situation that we didn't want to be in. Someone put the battery in your back, for lack of a better term.
And they wound me up and I was going.
and you kept going. Like I had to ask you all this, and Sophia, I'll start with you. Going through the basketball boot camp, which I've heard a lot about already. I've heard about this boot camp. It was real. It was intense, especially the first season. Second season's similar experience. Who's like the number one draft pick on the team? Like, if you had to say this is the best basketball player on the team, who's going first in the draft?
Oh man, Well, I'll tell you one thing. It is not me.
No skill? You don't have any real life skill? Because you got the shimmy on the show.
That's right. No, yeah. It was really cool to come in for the second season because of course I didn't do any of the basketball boot camp the first season. So I really had to step it up and it was awesome. But I think if I had to give an answer, I feel like it's gotta be Tiana.
That's what I was.
We agree? Yeah. Okay.
And Tiana's just because she had the athletic background already, right? She told me she didn't play basketball though in high school. So I mean, why is she so dominant? Can she can just do it all? She can shoot, she can D them up and everything. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, she has the passion more on her side too. I think a lot of us like it, but she's like, no, it's like what I do in my free times. I go do a pickup game. Like she really likes it now. And she just it's just in her blood. Yeah. I think she's just very athletic and it came very naturally to her.
Now, I think that a lot of people who are watching this show, and I said this in an early interview of after I graduated college, I actually went and taught high school for a year. And what was really crazy about the school that I taught at was the soccer was the number one sport and the boys team was trash, like absolute garbage, like the worst team. And they know it. So I'm not hurting anyone's feelings, but the girls team, the female team was the team of the school. Like all the games were packed out. People came in their colors. We were excited for the girls soccer team. For you all now to kind of put female athletics on the forefront, have you had any personal interactions, Tisha, with anybody maybe reaching out to you saying, because of this show, like athletics are different. I look at them differently, you know, being a woman in high school.
Yeah, we had actual basketball players play with us on the show, and they constantly were just like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is incredible that we put women's sports in the forefront of everything, because not a lot of media is doing that. And usually like boys sports dominates. And I think that's what's so special about our show is because we're like really highlighting women's sports in a really good way.
Yeah, it puts it in a very positive way, cricket. I mean, and to me, what y'all do, because y'all are all individually awesome. You know, like the characters are, and you as real people too, but the characters are so individually awesome, and y'all bring it to a different level this season too. Do you feel the same thing though that Tisha said? So as far as at representation of really, y'all have all kinds of representation on the show, but do you echo kind of her sentiment, cricket?
Yes. And we definitely had people come up to us or DM us and be like, you know, I feel so seen that you guys are, yeah, this is just like my basketball team and like, this is whatever. And so I think representing, you know, people that are like, I can't believe there's a show about what like is like so similar to my experience being a female basketball player. Or sometimes people are like, your coach reminds me of my coach. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. He makes you, know, sometimes I'm like early coach Korn or later coach Korn, because those are different. But yeah, so I think it's really awesome to just be able to represent that and really hear. Again, it's so weird when you're on it's just like you don't believe anyone's watching it or like it's affecting anyone, and so to really hear from it from personal people DMing you or talking to you, it's like you've watched this and you relate. This is so cool that we get to portray and like represent that.
Now, Sophia, for the show, you learn the skills of basketball, but y'all are actresses at the end of the day. Can you draw any relations between, you know, being on a basketball team and being a member of a cast? Are there any kind of, you know, analogies there that you could draw?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of something that's drawn in the show too, not with acting, obviously, but with the rest of your life, you know, how sports, the skills that you learn on a team, really, you can take it off the court. And so it's cliche, but like the answer is teamwork, I think. And that's one thing that I love about the show is that that's really highlighted. And not only is it unusual to have a show that highlights women's sports, or especially in high school, but a show where people aren't constantly pitted against each other, if that makes sense. Like, not only is it a show about sports, but also the players on the team all love each other, or, you know, whatever kind of fights they're having with each other. At the end of the day, they really love each other. And you see that develop over the course of the season. So I think those feelings that you get in the show from kind of like underlying love and teamwork and support for each other at the end of the day, that is totally applicable to life, you know, no matter what you're doing. But I think it certainly applies to acting as a totally collaborative job.
Now, for y'all may not realize it yet, but I'm sure there are a lot of young girls who look up to you as your role models, especially your characters as their role models. I know that's like a heavy thing to maybe accept and think about. But when I was growing up, sports figures were everything for me. You know, if my mom or dad asked me to do something, I might not do it. But if like Michael Jordan were to call me, I'd be like, Mike, whatever you need, you know, because that was my role model growing up. I aspired to be that way. Tisha, who is your role model growing up?
Oh, that's a hard question, but I would definitely have to say Lea Salonga because she is an incredible Broadway and like just in general entertainment actress who resembles like really she is like the main Filipino actress that I really looked up to, and there weren't a lot of Filipino actresses that I could have looked up to, and like being able to see like Jasmine be sung by a Filipino actress, I'm like, I want to do that. She was the reason why I became an actress. So I would have to say her.
Cricket, same question.
First thought was like my cousin. But if we're going bigger picture, okay, I've got some great cousins, okay?
I'm sure you got phenomenal cousins.
No, but I would say Raven Simone comes to mind. I grew up watching her as, you know, Rudy. And so I loved her in that, and then loved her in That's So Raven so much. I think her comedic timing, I just think she's a genius. So I think, I don't know, she just came to mind, but I think that definitely when I think of who I looked up to at a younger age acting wise, I definitely think of her. She's just got spunk that I love.
Sophia?
I'm going to have to go kind of smaller scale because I didn't really watch, or I didn't watch TV until I was much, much older, like between 10 and 13 is when I first really started watching anything, which is unusual, but I'm going to say my parents, which is what everybody says. But no, my parents are both also really creative people. They're both musicians and they're both teachers. And it was never a question for them whether or not, you know, they support me no matter what. And I didn't grow up in LA, you know, I didn't grow up in this whole world. And there was never a question in their mind that if I really loved something that I should go for it. They never doubted what I loved. And so I am where I am because of them. And I'm really, really grateful.
And when you say they were teachers, they are music teachers, they teach in education?
Both. They're musicians and also teachers.
So what do they think about the show? Do they think that they're like, oh yeah, I have students like this, or this really mimics the experience?
That's such a good question. They certainly have not spoken to their teaching experience as being similar, but I think they really understand the power of representation because as educators, you know how big of an impact you have and how big of an impact, you know, whatever a child is consuming, you know, when they go to school, whatever they're watching on TV, like media of all sorts, it has a really big impact. So being really conscientious about what kind of media we put forward, especially for younger kids, especially understand that and are really happy about the show.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Look, I have a couple more minutes with you, so I would be remiss if I didn't ask the impact, because Coach Korn, lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm for what he does on the court. I've heard John Stamos be described as kind of more chill as opposed to his character of Coach Korn. But what all have y'all learned from him individually? When I talked to Jessalyn Gilsig, who's a coach as well on the show, she mentioned that he is the ideal number one on the call sheet. And she explained what that meant. Would y'all echo that similar sentiment? And like, what's one thing that you've learned from John, who's a TV veteran? I'll start with you, Tisha.
I would have to say that definitely I agree with Jessalyn. He's the ultimate number one. He's so laid back, he's so chill, but he's also like very professional, and he takes care of everyone, which is incredible. And for someone of his caliber, especially, I would have to say that I learned not to take everything so seriously. And you can also achieve what you need to achieve while also not taking everything so seriously and just having fun. And I'm the type of person who just like, I was a straight A student. I did everything. I was like laser focused. But having him as kind of like a mentor figure, he was like, everything will work out. Just have fun. Everything's fine.
The Zen master, would you say that, Cricket? And what's something you learned from John or from any of the veteran actors, Yvette or Jessalyn on the show?
Oh, you can't get me started on all of them or I'll just never stop talking. No, I think that I totally agree with everything Tisha just said. I think John and all of them really set the tone of like, no question, the way they help us learn, and that the fact that they're very like, no question is a stupid question. They want us to be comfortable and do our best, which is just so, I just appreciate that so much, because not every actor that I've worked with is like that. And so it's just very like, so they want us to be having an easy, fun time. And yeah, I just think it's so incredible to work with them. They definitely, at times, there was one scene where I had with all three of the veterans and myself, and I was trying had to be upset in the scene, and they're just so freaking funny that they were just cracking each other up, and I'm trying to like get in the auto zone over here, and they're like making each other laugh and they're cracking up. I'm like, guys, you're so funny. I'm like laughing so hard, but I'm trying to be upset right now. Can you just give me a second? But it's also like they're so funny that I want to be around that. So I think that just the lightheartedness they bring to every scene, and of course they can turn it on and off when they need to, but I just think that they set just such a fun, positive vibe, just all of them.
Get in the zone, auto zone is something I'm probably going to say now for the rest of my life. And then finally, Sophia, same question. What have you learned from the veteran actors on set?
Yeah, gosh, I love everything that Tisha and Cricket have said. It's so, so true. And it's kind of hard to strike that balance of like super professional and also so fun and loving. And all three of them strike that so well. I'm going to say a really big thing that I learned on throughout the show, but it was cool that we got the continuation, that we got season 1 and season 2, because it kept pushing this for me is to trust myself. And that's such a huge thing as an actor, and coming onto a big show like this, I think, I can speak for myself, maybe all of us, like a little bit of intimidation going on, and to know that such incredibly talented, incredibly seasoned actors trust you is a really, really huge feeling, and show that trust all the time, asking questions. How, like, does this feel right to you? How does this dialogue, can we change this to make it feel more right? Or how it, like, really bringing us into the conversation and valuing our input was a really, really, really cool thing to experience. And I'm so grateful for it. And that's something that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
Oh, man, incredible. Well, I'll tell you what, Big Shot, best show on television, season 3, season 30. Let's just go ahead and make it happen so we can watch this show for the rest of our lives. Thank you all for joining me today on the show. I encourage everyone, Disney Plus right now, stream season 2 of Big Shot. You will not regret it. Thank you all so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.